Well, good morning, Access. Today I want to take some time and answer one of the hardest questions I get asked when it seems like the world is in chaos, and that is, are we in the end of times? Christians that like to debate this turn to Jesus' own words in Matthew 24, where he's describing the coming of the end times. And he says it's marked with things like war and famine and sin running rampant and false prophets arising. And many of us might look at our current world culture and go, we must be in the end of times. But there are two key things to remember when we read passages like this in Scripture. And one is that the end times was never designed to be a puzzle for Christians to figure out. Yes, Jesus did say these things, but we have to remember the end of the passage is marked in verse 36. However, no one knows the day or hour when these things will happen. But it begs the question, then why say any of this at all? And it is because they were designed to be words of encouragement. Jesus spoke these words right before he was crucified. Right before he knew he was going to have to ascend into heaven, and he knew the persecution and trouble that the early church was going to face. And like any loving parent, he was preparing his disciples for the problems they were going to face in the future. He reminds them in verse 25, "See, I have warned you about this ahead of time." He was reminding them that no matter the difficult situations they were going to endure, he knew and was there and is working in all those times. And so we must remember the call that he puts on us in this passage in verse 45 to be faithful and sensible servants. Faithful. That, like we discussed in yesterday's devotion, that we are trusting that God is working in all things, even if we can't understand it, and sensible. Not to allow our emotions to run wild and fill us with anxiety or dread during difficult times, but to trust and call on Him for a peace that surpasses our own understanding. And so that is my challenge for you today. If you are filled with dread, if you are filled with worry, to pray to God for that peace that only He can provide to our souls during difficult times. And join us tomorrow as we talk about how we can pray during difficult times. Thank you.